Welcome, everybody. Got another episode of Junior Resource Investing here. As always, I'm Matthew. Just a disclaimer, right? This is not financial advice, entertainment purposes only. You have to make your own decisions for your own investing. Please check YouTube notes for full disclaimer. I'm excited, though. Today, this is a little bit of a different swing for me, but we have with us here today Chad Clovis, who is founder and CEO of KarbonX. KarbonX is a carbon credit company that has invested in a portfolio of carbon reduction projects from around the world. But KarbonX has two parts to it. It combines the traditional carbon credit business model with a social media-focused personal carbon credit subscription model for people to lower their own carbon footprints. Chad, it's good to see you. Thank you for coming on the show. How are you?
Very good. Thank you for having me, Matt.
Yeah, no, I'm excited. Like I say, this is a little different than what I'm used to, and I'm interested to hear your story. Why don't you just lead us through your elevator pitch, right? If you're pitching KarbonX to somebody for the first time, how do you lead off?
So the way we always go with this is saying that KarbonX is a little different from the rest. We're a carbon marketing company, but we're a carbon marketing company that gives people a voice. We do some traditional industrial marketing, marketing to industry, but our biggest thing is kind of creating a world worth fighting for, giving people a voice. We built a technologically advanced app that allows us to go out, have retail people come on, feel good about what they're doing, support projects, and offset a portion of their lifestyle, which is pretty groundbreaking. And if you get a bunch of people together, small changes make big change. And that's kind of how we set it up.
So why don't we, I'm always curious, this is just for everybody's sake here. You have not yet, you're on the OTC right now. We'll get to that, but you're kind of almost on the precipice of IPOing here. So, your own personal history is pretty relevant, right? Do you want to just walk us through your own history as an entrepreneur and other businesses you've been a part of or other successes you've had?
Yeah, for sure. So biggest company we were part of was Lone Star West. It was a Canadian hydrovac company. I came on when their stock was about 25 cents a share. Worked with them for a couple years. Took a senior position with them. Went from 25 cents a share to $4.11 a share. Went from 9 to 97 trucks. During that time, there was multiple M&A deals, North America bound. So we did M&A deals in California, Midland, Texas, Oklahoma. Opened offices in Toronto and Winnipeg and Fort McMurray. It was a really, really good time. It was a really fun time, and we learned a lot about how to operate within a certain budget and a certain realm of restriction. I was TSXV certified. We were listed and sure learned a lot. It was our first foray into public company marketing, so it was interesting. Had a lot of fun, though. Met a lot of good people. Learned how to develop a company from zero up. After that company, we did a small trucking company called CCV. Started it in northern BC. Operated it for about 2.5, 3 years. Got bought out by Petrogas Energy Corp out of Calgary. They were part of a joint venture AltaGas, Petrogas, and Idemitsu had. They bought our trucking company out. We revamped the company from being called CCV to Petrogas Logistics Corp. Molded into that company. Went from 28 units up over 60 in the first year. All production hauling, expanded from 3 clients to 26 clients. Had a real successful run, and then I got to do a bunch of northern BD operational work, getting to work with marketers, production marketers, commodity marketers, all down in Calgary, and it really developed my skill set to be able to look at carbon credits like a commodity. That's when I started getting very interested in carbon credits, was when I was watching people trade propane and nat gas. I figured out that carbon credits are a commodity just like that. And they will be traded the same way one day. So I tried to do it for the trucking company. We tried to offset our trucking company, and it was so cumbersome. We just couldn't make it work. So that's when I kind of took a step back, took my holdco and said, okay, let's figure out how to do this. So we spent about 18 months figuring out the parameters, how to do it correctly, becoming certified with various bodies. And yeah, that's how we planned KarbonX all out. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah. Oh, it's an interesting idea. And I think you're absolutely steering towards the future, right? Which is so critical for any successful company. Who else is on your team? Who joins you here with KarbonX right now?
Best part about us, I got Marita Dautel with us. She's our VP. She's got an MBA from Purdue and international business degree from Reutling, Germany. I do a lot of things I can execute, I can operate, I can come up with ideas. And I need someone who can do the finance side and show me how to do things correctly on the marketing side in business, dealing with financiers. And she rounds me out completely. So Marita's on our team, a very valuable member. And then Alex Henderson is our new CFO. Alex is from KPMG, very well-rounded, very well-respected CPA. We got so lucky being able to bring Alex onto our team. He's got a lot of investment banking experience in raising and a lot of startup to big companies. And it's going to round us out a lot. And besides that, we do a lot of kind of long-term agreements with subcontracting companies. Vogue app developers, they built technology for us to be able to, they built the app. So helping us build the app from my MVP and idea all the way through to helping us build a data board, a CRM system, a dashboard, language and payment system processing. So using Vogue has allowed us to be a little bit tighter and a little bit faster, more nimble. They've been a big part of it. And the next company that we've had a bunch of team members with is OneFluent. They're an influencer marketing company. Matt August is part of the company. Great guy. They're going to help us a ton with the influencer marketing.
And so I want to talk more about, this two-prong approach that you have, but maybe let's just kind of get some housekeeping out of the way first. And so right now you are on OTC. Could you just describe for us plans? What's your plans to make KarbonX more accessible to investors?
Yeah, so the best thing we did is we did an RTO of a company in the States called Coco Love. We did a reverse merger to become OTC listed. It's a pink listed company. We wanted to do that so we could be reporting, which gives us a faster path to IPO in Canada. Research Capital, they've came on as our institutional bank for our IPO. Garfinkel Biederman is our lawyer. The paperwork is in place. Prospectus is being written right now. We're estimating we should be public on the TSX Q2, and we also should be Frankfurt listed as a secondary by Q2. Q3, our goal is to get OTCQX upgrade, and then we'll have all three running together.
Excellent. It really is still the ground floor here for you guys. So again, just housekeeping stuff, just to help people understand who you are, what you've got. I mean, so can you just run through right now what your share structure is, and who owns what? I guess if you don't mind, in terms of yourself or insiders or institutions.
Yep, for sure. So fully diluted, we're 69 million shares. There's 4.5 million warrants out. The first round of investments that we went out for were last year in April. We went out to raise $1 million at 25 cents with a 75-cent warrant. We raised 1.2 million very, very, very quickly. So we had to actually cut off because we were oversubscribed. We've got 18 million shares myself. Marita has 2 million shares. So there's 20 million insiders. We've got 16 million high net worth individuals. And then we've got about 10 million in other insiders. So total in probably 69,800,000 shares. And that's how the breakup works out. So it's a good mix with insiders and outsiders.
Mm-hmm. Tightly held float. Yeah, I like that high insider count. That's always nice to see. So why don't we talk about it here, right? So obviously I'm going to guess that a lot of people are, familiar with the traditional carbon credit model, right? So I don't think we need to, spend too much time doing that. But I mean, why don't you just discuss, what is the value of a carbon credit right now? Like what's the dollar value for that? And then maybe discuss, obviously this is something that we're all aware is going to rise dramatically over the coming, decade, right? So discuss the value of a carbon credit now and then, expectations for the next, 2, 5, 10 years.
Yeah, I can do that. So carbon credits right now are very vast in range of pricing. It comes down to country of origin, vintage, and style of projects. So if you have a African stove project, they sell extremely well in Europe, but not as well in North America. So those projects in Europe can be $6, $7 an offset. North America, they can be as low as $2. But when you flip the switch and you go run-of-river hydro projects in North America will be $5, $6, $7. Run-of-river hydro projects in Europe I can buy for $2. So it totally depends. All U.S. dollars, everything's kind of calculated on U.S. The UN credits are calculated in a euro. When it comes to going up, I think by 2024, we're really going to see the push upwards. 2023, I think, is going to run a 10 to 11% increase on cost on a carbon offset. But 2024 and up is when the demand is really going to start running. The supply isn't there. That's just a fact. The supply isn't there to be able to offset everything that's been mandated. Because of that, pricing should go up anywhere between 15 and 20% easily in 2024, and then more in 2025, and just continue on.
Yeah, and it'll be one of those hockey stick graphs, I'm sure, right?
Yeah.
So what, maybe this, just for the sake of this conversation, and I know, of course, like you say, it's much more complicated than just one number, but do you have, just a generic round number you can give us just for, across all your different projects, what rounded out what you're getting for a carbon credit?
Yeah, so our projects, the way we're working them out is we're averaging about 580 average sale on just an industrial marketing agreement. On a custom offset with a custom sales agreement, we're able to increase that anywhere between $17 and $20 a credit, just depending on how much management we do, if we're retiring at all, if we're doing the carbon calculations, if we're using our own methodologies, that sort of thing, we can really increase the cost.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, excellent. So why don't we, and I don't mind if this is going to take a little bit of time here, but, you have a number of different projects around the world, which, I think you kind of mentioned, different regions of the world have different valuations for things. So obviously your diversification geographically is a nice touch, but, can you just kind of give us the blow by blow? I mean, just, 1 or 2 minute overview of the different projects you have, maybe focusing mostly on, what is it? And then also the carbon credit production, and then maybe, let's just leave it there, right? Give us a brief overview and then maybe initial carbon credit production.
Yeah, we can do that. SES is our major big project. SES is Silviculture Systems. We bought an 80% stake in this project to help them grow. 20% was owned by the founders, and we gave them some stock in our company, so they have a piece of us as well. SES plants trees. They're a baru nut tree, which is like a big Brazil nut. They have a big coconut husk around them instead of a traditional nut husk. We plant baru nuts. The nuts are out into human consumption or used for cattle feed and a high-protein cattle feed silage. The husks we build a sustainable form of charcoal out of them. We actually burn them down, turn them into a biochar. We can sell them as a marketable charcoal for heating and cooking, or we can actually sell it as biochar for fertilizer, water filters, those type of things. And because it's 100% sustainable, and each tree, when mature, produces about 3,000 kilograms of bio-waste, we're generating our own charcoal supply off of the trees we plant. So when we plant 31 trees, after a year, 3 or 4 year growing season, we end up with 1 carbon credit for every 31 trees planted. We end up with a ton of charcoal mass off every 5 trees, and it works out very, very well for us in the long run. That project there, carbon credits we're able to generate for about $2.06 a piece, fully verified by a third party, registered through a global registration. Carbon credits will be issuing Q4 2023 on that one. We'll get a small allotment off our first plantings, 2021, 2022. The allotment will be about 17,000 offsets, not a huge amount. 2024, that project increases to charcoal. And onto the next side, which will the tree planting side, we start to generate some tree planting credits. We should generate about 420,000 offsets next year. 2025 is when it really starts to sing. We're about 1 million offsets a year, 1 million kgs of charcoal that we can sell, moving biochar and pyrolysis around. And that's how SES works. Another one of our big projects is based in Alberta. Plexus Technology. They take flare gas that would have been burnt and flared by an oil gas well, a natural gas well. When they take that gas, they redirect it into a nat gas generator system. They build power, they catch the exhaust, scrub it and run it through an EGR system, an exhaust gas reburner, to make it as efficient as possible. So you go from 100% waste, where it's being flared off and not used, to a 96% efficient system. We still have emissions, but we're eliminating 96%. We're producing power into the grid that would have been a full waste, and generating carbon offsets by capturing the methane and the NOx by bringing it out of the emission side. They are generating 2.5 megawatts of power right now on a site south of Grand Prairie, Alberta, and they've just got a permit to expand to 10 megawatts. Once they expand to 10 megawatts, we'll go from generating 100,000 offsets a year to 500,000 offsets a year. And they got another permit in Alberta, or in BC, 2024. They'll bring another 5 megawatts online. So this year we should do about 65,000 offsets. Next year we'll do 506, and the year after that we should do around 650, 660,000 offsets. They're a high quality offset though because they're methane capture. Methane capture offsets are selling fairly well, so we should be able to generate anywhere between $9 and $10 an offset on those ones. And then there's Heimdall. So Heimdall is a company that they're very interesting. They're very smart men. We did a 50-50 joint venture partnership on the next 6 plants they're building, offered financial support, carbon marketing if they need it, free PR, free marketing to help them grow. They suck up ocean water, split it into its elemental particles. They sequester CO2 and acid back into a sediment using an electrolysis system. So they got a test plant in Hawaii running. They suck the water up, split it all out, turn the CO2 and the acids into a sediment, which is, it looks a lot like sand. It's a little bit more granular than sand. So they can actually return it back to the ocean, or they've been using it in concrete as an aggregate substitute. Doesn't generate a ton of carbon offsets, but they have huge scalability. Each plant can do 5,000 tons of CO2 a year, which isn't a lot. But when you think that each plant is about $750,000 to build, they're built in a 40-foot sea can. They're very easy to set up. They're very easy to run, and they're modular where you can tie them together. It turns it into a very scalable and a very smart model to be able to take these anywhere you have the ocean, anywhere you have commercial water waste. They can be hooked up into the industrial systems. It's a very, very smart company, and we're looking forward to doing these first 6 plants and then hopefully doing a lot more after that. And those are the 3 major projects that we have right now.
And that's part of what catches my eye and brought my attention to you. You know, there is that diversification, right? You have something as simple and low tech as biochar all the way to that cutting edge, that Heimdall, right? And so you do have that diversification of region and also of technology, which I think is kind of neat. So maybe a question here as a follow up. In terms of revenue crunching, right? So you are, you're a year or two away before you really start to get moving in a really kind of meaningful way with your revenue, if I'm not incorrect. Could you just kind of, based on your projections, maybe, give us 1, 2, a couple of years out, what are your projections in terms of revenue? And then maybe, if you don't mind, what's the OPEX that you require to get there that was required by KarbonX to get there?
Okay. Yeah. So we're just finishing our second round of private placement raising right now. 50 cents a share US, $3 million in North America, $3 million in Europe. We'll close both of those out by the end of March. With that operating budget, we've got our marketing paid for. SES is completely paid for. Our app is paid for. Our app is already paid for and launched, coming up in mid-March. The biggest part of the revenue is going to be the app and the biochar. This first year, we've got it on target to hit 100,000 subscribers, little over 100,000 subscribers. With 100,000 subscribers, we generate about $6.6 million a year in revenue. Of that revenue, 30% will go to paying for the carbon offsets immediately. 30% goes back into project development so that we can build more projects and more development of offsets. 18% goes to operation, 22% goes straight through to profitability. It's a very good model for growth, and it allows us to generate our own carbon offsets, which keeps the cost down for subscribers. It allows us to invest in ourselves in bigger projects, and the people have a say in what project we're going to invest in. And it's a very good model. Our cash flow projections for this year, once the app is up and running, once we have 5,654 subscribers, we're cash flow positive and we're profitable. Estimates are we'll be cash flow positive by Q2 and we'll be profitable by Q3. And hopefully we'll hit it all. I think we will. The influencer marketing is a big side of it. We've got some great influencers coming on. Our first round of investors were influencers or NHL players. They're going to help us with some of the marketing of the app. Rev models, I see about 6.6 this year, 12.3, 12.8 next year in gross revenue. Nets this year, probably 3.3, 3.4 EBITDA. Nets next year, we should do a little bit better. We should be around 5.5, 6 EBITDA. And then it'll just grow from there. And that's coming down to 100,000 subscribers this year, 200,000 subscribers by the end of next year. If we can take it where we think we can, European expansion, all the rest of it, maybe we can double, triple, but we'll just have to see how that goes.
Yeah, strong margins, which again is a notch in your favor, right? So why don't we, right? You've mentioned a couple times. So yeah, you aren't just a carbon credit company, right? You have this social media and subscription service aspect to it that I think is what, that's my understanding is the carbon credit space is pretty crowded. And so you need to have something that sets you apart from the competitors. And I think you're onto something here, right? This is something that just as an individual investor and even just as a citizen or a private citizen, I think is an interesting idea. Can you just run through social media subscription service? Can you just tell what's going on there? Can you tell us about it?
Yeah, for sure. So we built an app that basically is for the people. We wanted to go away from industry as the focus, and we wanted to get people involved because without people, we're not going to get there. We're not going to hit our climate goals unless we all get together. Small things make big change. Small actions make big change. Come as you are is kind of our way of marketing. So with the app, when you download the app, you can pick single, partner, or a family subscription. They each cost a different denomination, and each one has a carbon allotment to them. So using a single as an example, $17 a month. It works out to, you can pay by the year to make it a little bit cheaper, $174 a year. You get 9 carbon offsets that are high quality VCU offsets, and you also get the option to pick a project you want to support. So if you're very passionate about planting trees, you can go on, pick SCS. You can be part of the tree planting Bolivian indigenous charcoal project. We hire all local Bolivians, give them a good stable wage, a good income, hire as many local people as we can. We have 15 planting down there right now with 3 Canadians. If you're passionate about cleaning the ocean, you pick Heimdall. And when you pick the project, you end up getting a badge that shows what you supported, kind of gives you a little bit of a social media marketing badge that you can put out on your own side. So you pick tree planting, you get a badge that's tree planting. You put it out on your social media, show people you offset your lifestyle. You pick tree planting because that's what you're passionate about, and then it goes from there. We do have a business side on our app. It's a small side, and it's kind of set up for businesses that want some PR. Don't really want to go through a carbon study, don't really want to break into that market. What they want or what they need is a kind of carbon PR marketing plan. So they can come to us, pay per employee with their employees number that they have. We break it down. If they've got over 1,000 employees, we drop our price. If they got over 100 employees, we drop our price. It starts at $17.49 a person per month. You get 9 carbon offsets per employee per year. You get to plant 9 trees in your company's name. Those carbon offsets come in your company's name. The trees are planted in your company's name, so you get an actual ESG offset as well as an actionable asset. Then we do a bunch of marketing and PR campaign with you to show you're making change, you're taking steps forward. It's sort of like the 1% program, but it's a little bit different because you get a tangible asset and you also get a little bit of a tax incentive on there too.
So what's the name of the app? People that are listening want to look it up. What are they looking for?
KarbonX app.
KarbonX app. And so when does it go live?
It'll be out March 20th live, Google Play and Apple Store, and it's KarbonX with a K, Karbon-X.
Yeah, that's a good detail to have. Eh?
Yeah.
Excellent. No, awesome. I think there you have a very interesting idea here. So you're in the process of rolling this out right now. You're striking North America and Europe. Can you just tell us, it's a bit of a 1-2 punch. Can you just run through that idea, the rollout?
Yeah. So North America first. Right now we're starting to convert our app over to European. Our European launch we've got tabled for May. North American launch for March 20th. We'll be able to take CAD and USD in all of North America. When we go into Europe, we're actually going to do a language conversion and a payment conversion. When we built the app, we actually set it up so that VOG could basically pluck a piece of code and put a new piece of code in, and then we'll actually convert the app into the new language. And it allows us then to just send it out, have it reformatted into the language so we don't make any snafus or issues with terminologies or grammar, and trying to make it fit because German's pretty interesting. But we're going to have English, German, French, Italian to start. So we'll have 4 languages when we go into Europe. Payment systems, we're going to have Euro, British Pound, CHF, CAD, USD, and the Kronas. So we'll be able to sell in Denmark. We'll go up into Scandinavia as well. That push will start in May. OneFluent has a marketing plan they're starting to put together for that. We're also going to be talking to a company in Munich when we're there March 28th to look at helping develop like a local kind of a localized plan on how to approach the European market differently, because they are a little bit different than North Americans in their thinking. So we have to make sure we brand it correctly towards them.
Mm-hmm. No, interesting.
Yeah.
And it's ambitious, and I think that's a good thing, right? I mean, you have to be ambitious, right? You really can't play conservative. You're trying to in a very competitive sector make it work, right? So you have these plans, 100,000 subscribers in a year. Do you want to run through? I mean, obviously that's going to require a great deal of visibility on KarbonX's part. Can you run through what are your marketing plans? Both here and in Europe. I mean, what's your plans to get that visibility to get you to those 100,000 subscriber goal?
So the biggest thing is the partnership with influencer marketing. We need a lot of marketing, a lot of social media influence, and a lot of transparency. So being transparent and being efficient are two of our major goals. When it comes to marketing, we want the correct partnerships with the correct people. So our first round of investors were NHL players. We'll do some marketing through them. We're very, very selective with which influencers we want to hang our hat with. There's a few influencers that are very tied into environmentalism, very good people. We're going to hang our hats with them. They are seeing anywhere between 25 and 30 million hits a week on their various social media platforms. One Fluid hits about 110 million times a week on their various influencers. It's a giant program. We've signed up for the full package with them, full visibility, full video production side. Lots of PR videos will be coming out, kind of like the PR video we sent you a couple weeks ago, I believe. Those type of things are going to start coming out. We started pre-seeding our marketing. The pre-seeding is almost done. So starting March 15th, our big blast will come out. We'll start the up ramp and go that way. Europe, like I said, we need to meet with somebody on the ground who's done Europe launches before. The company we're meeting for did launch a big app over there. Not allowed to say who, but they did launch a big app in Europe. They took them from 16,000 downloads to over 16 million in 2 years. So yeah, that's our big plan, to push the app out.
Yeah, just finding the right people to spread that message, right?
Yeah.
No, absolutely. So I guess, I think you've already touched on this, but, again, competitive space, you need to stand out. And like I said, you already touched on this, but I mean, what are you doing that makes, what makes your idea sticky, right? What's going to make people, come to KarbonX and then stay with KarbonX? Why do you think people are going to choose you over the competitors?
Just the feeling and the updates are the biggest thing. Is we're transparent as transparent gets. Every project we go into, we make sure it's correct top to bottom before we invest a penny, before we agree to anything. And we want people to be engaged. So when you download an app, it's not just downloading an app and you're done and you pay monthly. It's you download an app and you pick tree planting, and 6 months from now, you're getting media every 2 weeks showing you where we planted, how we planted, who we planted with. So we keep you engaged. And the second part is, if you're planting trees, and you decide, well, I want to help clean the air, you can switch your project halfway through and gives half of your support to that other project and get a new badge and move your badge forward. It's a lot about the shareability part, the transparency, just making sure we keep people engaged with media and with updates and with content of just positivity. We don't want to be fear mongers. A lot of carbon, there's a ton of fear mongering. We don't want to have the fear monger, because just being scared doesn't do anything. We want to give people the power to drive change. Stand up and be counted, believe in better.
Yeah, you have to believe you can actually do something, right? That cynical kind of negativity. I think that's a fair point. And I mean, again, I think it's really neat that you are really skating to where the puck is going in terms of that social media connectivity and social media interactions. It's a clever idea. Why don't you? So yeah, like I say, it's a two-pronged thing: carbon credit, subscription service. I mean, how much of your business model, in 2023 is going to be each of those versus 5 years from now? How does this evolve?
Yeah, so like right now, our first probably 2 years, we're going to be running at about 75% of sales through the app, and 25% will be project based. The reason being is it takes time to build these projects. So you can't just go out and stick a tree in the ground and we're making credits. You have to invest a lot of time, a lot of feasibility, do your action plans, do your retainment studies. So it takes 3-4 years before you start actually really generating meaningful revenue and making meaningful change. So that's where the first 3 years, it'll be mostly the app. Once the app is up and running, we have enough subscribers, be about 75-25. And then it's going to start to convert over in 2025 to where our projects are going to drive quite a bit of revenue, where it should be about a 50-50 split from 2025 on. And then if the app does have a little bit of a bubble, we've still got a ton of support through the environmental side with our projects.
Mm-hmm. And so what do you think, your peers in the carbon credit sector, what valuations, what's a multiple that they typically get valued at?
7 to 8x is usually what it looks like. The one big company I looked at this weekend, they were trading at like a 7.4 PE. So yeah, about 7 to 8x. There are a few that came out that were extremely rich, but that was right at the very, very start, right coming out of COVID. A couple companies went public, and the valuations were, 45 times, 60 times, and it was a bit nuts. But it's sort of the same thing that happened in cannabis. The first bunch of guys that came out in cannabis, they had that like huge, just massive valuations and massive 20, 30, 40, 50 times. And then it kind of leveled out, and it's sort of the same thing right now.
Mm-hmm. So what's the end goal here? Is this something that you're going to hang your hat on for, the foreseeable future, or are you angling for a buyout, or what's the end goal here for you?
The biggest thing with us is we want to grow it. So we want to go global. We want to try and get it everywhere we can. We have a great team of support staff people. I believe we can run it ourselves for 5 to 7 years fairly successfully. I do see a point where I'm either going to have to bring in a partner that can help us with the global side of it and getting as big as we're looking at getting. I've grown a business to 100 million a year. I've never grown a business above 100 million a year. So having the right advisor boards or bringing in the right people that can help us, that is key. If it is a buyout, I don't know if it's a buyout or if it's a merger partnership type of agreement. But yeah, we will need help once we get bigger. I know we're going to need help, and I'm fine with that. I kind of enjoy having help and being able to learn from other people that have done things better or different than I have. So I kind of am looking forward to bringing someone in that can help us go to the next level and jump it way up here in a few years. Yeah.
I like it. And so, this is one that maybe is a bit more important because you are just at such a nascent stage, right? You're just nicely getting moving. Can you give us a blow by blow? I mean, let's say the next 2 years, what do investors or, potential investors or people watching your company, what are some catalysts that you think are going to be transformative or possible inflection points for you guys?
Yeah. So the biggest things for the next few years, the app launch is going to come out, and data collection and app merge. So we're going to get the app out March, collect as much data as we can, see what the people want, what projects they're picking, and kind of fine tune ourselves so that we can be very responsive to what the people are picking. The second part for that is get our TSX IPO done. So we'll be on the TSXV by Q2. Frankfurt secondary, start rolling that out with CM Equity, and then do the app European launch. So the European app launch is going to be a major hook. It's going to be a major part of our catalyst to profitability. If the app launch in Europe goes as good as what's happening now with our app in North America, like the app's not fully out yet. We launched a web app as a soft launch just to get it out there and kind of fine tune our data, fine tune our dashboards. It's went really well with no marketing, which is kind of surprising. That's kind of what we need to do over there. Those are the main big catalysts. The second part of the catalyst is proper project expansion and more projects in the pipeline. We need to bring in more people in the pipeline side for projects, get some Indigenous representation in Northern Canada, which we're working on a great deal there, and tie it all together into a nice, tidy package. Have a good app launch, get public so people are liquid, have the proper promotions and makers, and then move forward with the projects to make yourself completely stable no matter what happens.
Well, I mean, again, those of people listening here are interested. I mean, you're on the ground floor, right? One of the biggest things you can do is get there first, right? Once it's popular, it's too late, right? So I mean,
Yeah.
you're just nicely getting started, right? Maybe this is a question that I could have asked earlier, but I can't. It came to mind now. I mean, based on the numbers you say, you're going to be cash flow positive. If the subscription rollout works really well, you'll be cash flow positive in short order here. I guess, based on you sound like you have an aggressive expansion strategy. Are you going to be able to self-fund that, or are you going to be coming to the market for financings over the next couple of years?
The only financing we're going to do is just to satisfy the TSX IPO. Our friends and family rounds are done, so Research Capital is going to lead our IPO just to satisfy the asset need. We'll be very close after these 2 rounds are finished. We should be within a few $1 million. I think we're going to do one more round, and that's all, and then we'll be self-financing. We shouldn't need any more. The cool part is we're debt-free. SES is paid for. The app is completely paid for. The marketing agreement has an ongoing subscription retainer, and it's paid for the next 2 years. So when it comes to expansion sides, we should be okay. I think we'll be okay, and especially once we're cash flow positive, we'll be very okay. We ran a very tight ship to now. We haven't burnt cash. We raised $1.2 million. Out of that 1.2, we only burned $240,000 total on wages and office space and that kind of thing. Very tight ship. We ran properly, and once we start making money, then we'll be able to return ourselves. But yeah, that's the big thing. Run tight, run hard, and look after your investors, and your investors look after you.
No, well said. I like that. No, yeah, you're hitting a couple of points that when I look at your company, it's the same reasons that it draws my eyes to it. So I guess, we're kind of nearing the end here, Chad. Is there anything I missed that you want to talk about?
Not really. I just basically wanted to say, we all want to work together to do better. Everybody wants to step forward, and some people don't have a voice or don't know how, and we can help with that. Industry, if you have a PR problem, we can help with that. If you have a carbon problem, we can help with that. And that's what we're all about. We don't just need to make sales. We just want to help people make some positive leaps, believe in better, and just create a future worth fighting for. That's what we're all up for.
No, well said. It's definitely a nice touch when you can invest in things that you believe in and help make the world better, right? So it's nice to have those opportunities. Sometimes investing can be pretty heartless, right? So I appreciate that there's companies like you're out there fighting the good fight, right? No, thank you, Chad. That's it from me. So thank you again, Chad. Thanks to our listeners. If you are interested in this story, and you should take a look, it's KarbonX.com. It's carbon with a K-X.com. If I got that right, Chad, right?
Yeah, you betcha.
and as always, you can find me, Junior Resource Investing, Spotify, YouTube, and elsewhere. Chad, I appreciate your time. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much.
All right, have a good day.
You too.